From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast with Scott Sander.
Welcome to the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast. I'm Scott Sander. On this episode,
we look at how a vibrant Indian community contributes to Indiana's international growth. Our CFO, Ty Shea, is back with tips on dealing with contracts. And we wrap things up with today's success story.
Every business is unique and has a target audience. If you own or manage a business, Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble, offering best-in-class results, service, and support to reach a bigger customer base, allowing you to pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. Get outside the city, the state, span the globe. Put Circulus Digital Media to work for you. Get started now at circulusdigital.com. That's circulusdigital.com.
Welcome back to Business, Equity, and Opportunities. It is time to talk about accessing capital. India and Indiana share a number of similarities, including the desire for a strong economy. The Indiana-India Business Council is an advocacy group that contributes to strengthening relations between the state and the country by generating economic and social growth.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Access to capital.
Raju Chinthala is the chairman of the Indiana Association of Indianapolis.
So Asia is a very large continent which has a lot more than 75 countries. But India always played a vital role in Indiana. So we always say you cannot even spell Indiana without starting with India. But let me tell you about Indian community, how they came here in 1950s or 60s, how the community has grown tremendously today, contributing so much in Indiana. So in 1967, when there were 13 families, mostly of them they came to work at IUPI or Lilly. So there were 13 individual professional scientists, doctors. They came together and they formed this organization called India Association of Indianapolis. The mission is to preserve and keep India culture among the families who are residing in Indianapolis or central Indiana. Today, the 13 families where they started, we are 55-year-old organization. It has grown multiply. We have several temples. There's more than 35,000 population in central Indiana from India. Most of them are working in many professionals like IT, scientists, Lilly, IUPI, Corteva, many of these companies hire these people. But also, tremendously, the small business community who come here, most of these Indian Asian community, even though they work full-time, they always have a second income to start a second business. If you look at the subways and gas stations and Pizza Huts and the hotels, I'm sure you must have seen hotels owned by a lot of Indian population. So it has grown tremendously, the impact of economy, cultural aspects of it, and preserving their cultural sports, including sports. Cricket is very famous in India, all over the world, and Indiana there are several teams they play cricket. We also have a Hindu temple at the east side. We have a Muslim mosque that Indians goes to, and there is also Indian church that the Indian community goes to church. So there is always so it's increasing. Very happy to share that how it impacts our growth in Indiana. We always say Indiana is a crossroads of America. So we tell people, whoever comes to US from India, try to visit and see what we can offer here. In 2015, between Indiana and India, trade was around 100 million. Today, it's 1.3 billion. So it has grown tremendous impact between the trade, just exports and imports that we do from Indiana and India. So it is growing quite a bit, not just the people coming to Indiana, but also people who are doing business in Indiana. As I said, small businesses, large companies, large Indian companies coming to Indiana, as well as the second generation who were born and raised from India, Indian families. They're also getting into business and trying to keep them. Most of them, they go to Purdue or IU for undergrad or masters and trying to keep them in Indiana. I think mostly the people think India is just one culture. I always tell people India is not just one country, even though it's one country with 1.4 billion. Now we surpassed China. So the largest population is in India. So India, I always tell people there are 29 states, and that means 29 countries in one country. So that means each state has different language, different culture, different food, the way they celebrate anything, even wearing dresses and things. So that brings diversity in unity. There's a lot of diversity within India. Even when they come here, they're all celebrating different languages, different cultures. So each state also has different language association here. They represent, whether it's of 10 people, whether it's of 500 people. They would like to keep that culture from wherever they are, whether Southern India, whether Hyderabad, or Andhra Pradesh, or Telangana, or Uttar Pradesh, or Delhi, or any of these people. They would like to preserve that within the family. So we do India Gala. It is hosted by India Business Council every year. This year is the 5th India Gala. Mayor Brainerd will be honored with the Indiana Ratna, which is the highest honor to given to any individual who contributed between Indiana and India relationships to impact that relationships. A lot of cultural programs you will be seeing next month. I think there will be Asian Fest on May 13th. So there will be a lot of cultural dances, programs that will be bring together. So many of the college, high school kids or middle school kids, when they are here, they're also learning these cultural dances, whether it's traditional, whether it's a classical music, playing instruments, different instruments. They all like to exhibit somewhere, whether it's India Day or whether Asian Fest or India Gala. So that is opportunity for these kids who are learning to participate and let the attendees see their performance.
On Business Equity and Opportunities, every week we talk about accounting and bookkeeping, and often the information comes from Ty Shea, the Chief Financial Officer for Circle City Broadcasting. Ty, good to see you. Thanks for being with us again.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
We have talked over the weeks and months about contracts. When you do business, someone does business with you, often you want to set the terms for that. There are other uses for contracts as well. Few of us are natural experts in that, though. Just as sort of like a broad jumping in for this conversation point, when you think of contracts, what do you want our friends and small business owners to think of?
Sure. I think maybe today we'll focus on kind of vendor contracts that often come for services that you need or services that you intend to provide. And I think it's important to look at and properly analyze a contract before you commit yourself, because that's what a contract is, really. It's a commitment. And understanding all the nuances of a contract and what it means. For instance, from the very start, I think it's important to understand, okay, who's writing the contract, right? So, because the person who writes the contract invariably writes that contract to favor themselves. They're not looking out for the other party. They write it in a way that benefits them as much as possible, right? And so during that contract negotiation process, and I call it a process, that's your opportunity to kind of push back and, change verbiage, change different additions or nuances to it. I think the one thing that is really common that you'll see in vendor contracts is there are often auto renewal clauses, right? So let's say it's a 3-year contract and within the last 6 months of that contract terminating, if neither party notifies the other party, that contract will auto renew for another year or 3 years, right? And oftentimes, business owners or people on the other side who didn't write those clauses in naturally forget about those auto renew clauses. So there's a couple of ways you can handle that. One, you can put a reminder or a tickler, in your calendar, maybe a month or two in advance of that deadline, saying, hey, reach out to, this vendor and tell them that you do not wish to auto renew, but perhaps you still wish to have the service. Let's come up and draft a new contract. So that's one way to handle it. Or two, what I've also seen other businesses do is the day that the contract is signed, they immediately send an email back to the vendor and say, I do not wish to auto renew this contract. And so that's one easy way to take out that uncertainty, and then you have it in writing, of course. And so with that's just one little thing that goes into contracts. Other aspects, from my vantage point, if it's a material important contract, it helps to have your legal side look at it and make sure you're not committing to something that either one could compromise you in some way, or something illegal, or especially, for our business in the TV business, which is heavily, government regulated, that's a very important aspect, but it can certainly apply to other industries as well. So,
well, it's probably also then worth revisiting what we've talked about in the past as well, which is when it comes down to it, what's on the paper that you've signed outweighs, well, but that's not what we talked about.
Right. And people often go into commitments with the best intentions. And if things happen to go sour or whatever, for whatever reason, yes, it's whatever is in the ink and in the contract that prevails, certainly from a legal standpoint. So that's why it's important to have your T's crossed and your I's dotted when it comes to contracts. And something you said, your legal arm or team or whatever, and for our small businesses, that may be almost a piecemeal hiring from an attorney, but at some form or fashion, when you're talking any significant contract, is it fair to say you want someone who knows the law to take a look at that? Generally, yeah. That's, if it's a material contract to your business, probably a good idea.
All right, Ty Shea, full of good ideas, and he shares them with us many weeks here on Business Equity and Opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
May is Asian and Pacific Islander Month, and Indiana has many reasons to celebrate it.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Success Story.
Rupal Thanawala is the president of the Asian American Alliance and explains how the success of a vibrant Asian American community is connected to Indiana's growing economy.
Asian American Alliance's mission is to empower and encourage Asian Americans to lead and serve in business and community. It all started in 1999 when a group of Asian American leaders started this idea of starting an organization to have a community, an alliance where all the Asian Americans can come together to build a future of Asian Americans who have called Indiana their home. So we have business leaders, students, community leaders, and we all are really looking forward that how do we build a community which is truly integrated as Hoosiers. So Asian American Alliance is an umbrella organization of over 150 other organizations and 300 plus ethnic restaurants that we feel are part of, this big alliance. If I can just break it down, so we have multiple student organizations, whether it's IU, Purdue, Bloomington, Ball State, they all have their own Asian American student organizations. So we have a huge contingent of students. We believe that over 25,000 foreign students come to Indiana for studies, and maximum of them most of them are Asians. Then the second category is BRG groups or ERG groups, which is employee resource group or business resource groups. They are inside the corporations. We have, just to give an example, Eli Lilly and Company has probably 5 to 6 Asian American focused organizations within them, what they call it ERGs. Then we have business groups, which is Indiana Business Council, Japan America Society, America China Society. Their focus is to build bilateral relationship between the two regions, Indiana and the regions with them they do the business. We have probably more than 100 smaller cultural and religious groups, who represent again, the regional culture and arts. And last but not the least, we have many of these businesses, which is people connect with food. So we have 300 plus restaurants. So this really makes the alliance. You do not want your whole garden to have just yellow flowers or pink flowers or red flowers. When your garden has those multiple colorful flowers, it looks so beautiful. So we are part of the fabric of Indiana. We all have brought our unique talents, culture. We have brought with us our arts, musical skills, and much more. And one of the things that Asian American Alliance is very intentional about welcoming new Asian Americans. Very recently, we welcomed over 7,200 Afghan refugees in Indiana. But then over the period of time, over a century, Asian Americans have come here as students, business leaders, or just to unite with their families. What it has done is, they have contributed to this community tremendously. We have some of the best academic leaders in Indiana, and just to say, Purdue's new president is a Chinese professor, and our provost at IU is also an Indian man. So we have different individuals who have contributed in this community tremendously. And I think that is the benefit that we have in this community. We are Americans. We are not outsiders. We are Asians who are proud of our culture, but we have been living here, we have been contributing to this community, and we are part of this community. It's very important for everyone to know this one, because this country is made up of immigrants. Some have come centuries back, some of them have just come very recently, but we are all here as one.
Our thanks again to all the contributors who joined us for this episode of the Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. We hope you found it enlightening, useful, and inspiring. You'll find more information about the show on our website, BEOshow.com. You can watch Business Equity and Opportunities Sunday mornings at 10 on Wish TV, or live stream it through wishtv.com. Each week we provide 7 full segments with topics ranging from how to get started and how to access capital to the day-to-day running of your business and questions about accounting and bookkeeping. We feature business news and trends and always share a success story from one of our contributors. Join us next time for more insights into the world of small business. Be sure to sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information. And if you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us. The address is beo@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for listening.
Watch the Business Equity and Opportunity Show on Wish TV and access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at BEOshow.com. You can find more podcasts from Wish TV on the All Indiana Podcast Network at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.